Did you wreck the car?
No.
Did you raise the dead?
Yes.
But the car's okay.
Uh-huh.
All right then.
I'm back, like some kind of once dead but now reanimated creature. My channel returns. On an unrelated note, I'm playing zombies today, and it is Modern Tribal Wars. So, point of the deck is to be pretty low to the ground and aggressive, with some disruptive elements to cheap, efficient disruptive elements. So we've got Inquisition of Kozilek and Fatal Push as obviously very cheap, very efficient 1-for-1 cards. Tide Hollow Sculler as a zombie that also attacks the opponent's hand, and Dark Salvation as a removal spell that's also a zombie, or potentially many zombies. Or it can just be a 1-mana very efficient removal spell, depending on the board state. And in conjunction with that, we've got the Lords, Death Baron, and just one Lord of the Undead. So you don't often have tons of spare mana, so that's why I've split it 3-1. And then Metallic Mimic, because 2-mana Lords are better than 3-mana Lords. And then rounding out, we've got Wayward Servant, which is a bit of a draining thing whenever another zombie comes into play. Also works well with Diagraph Colossus, which creates 2/2 zombies whenever you cast a zombie spell, and it can be quite big as well. It's cast it late in a long game when you've been trading off and such. And Crypt Breaker as a draw engine primarily. Plenty of zombies to get it going in the deck, obviously. And then Gravecrawler just as good, efficient, recursive threats. Pretty good with Crypt Breaker. You discard it and create a zombie, and then you'll have a zombie to recur Gravecrawler with. So yeah, that's everything. Let's go searching for brains. Okay, I'm recording a replay of the game because of this. Okay, here we are for round 1, and this obviously won't do. So yeah, obviously this is not a keepable hand, no lands. It's also yeah, it's not a hand that's going to beat any kind of functional draw from the opponent, so I mulligan this as well. I mean, obviously it could work if I drew a bunch of zombies off the top, but it seemed more risky than going to 5, so I did. This one was certainly acceptable on 5. I think I ditched an Inquisition and a Metallic Mimic. Yeah, so these are a reasonable hand of bit of disruption and a Crypt Breaker plus 1 more zombie to hopefully get to the point that I can recover from the mulligan. Inquisition first, because I don't want to run Crypt Breaker into removal when I'm so reliant on it. And obviously I'm facing allies here. Kabira, Evangel, and Lantern Scout were the only 2 available. I took the Evangel, which generally protection is generally more powerful than lifelink, and it certainly doesn't like it's going to be. I'm not in a position to to want to try and race, so the lifelink's not super relevant at this point. So there comes the Concealed Courtyard. Tide Hollow Skull is pretty reasonable draw. I went with Metallic Mimic first because of what I saw from the opponent. Obviously there's nothing super desperate to take, and Lantern Scout's a 3-drop, so I can wait until the next turn to play it. And still now I'll have something to get. And there's Kazandu Blade Master. So I would have liked to have taken that out with Tide Hollow Sculler, but there's no guarantee that was even possible. Opponent might have just drawn that the Blade Master that turn. So there's Tide Hollow Sculler coming down through a Digraph Colossus, which is, I can't cast it yet, but it's a pretty powerful card. So Dire Tactics is exile target creature. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. So I'll take that with a Tide Hollow Sculler because the Dire Tactics can, if I take the Lightning Scout, the Dire Tactics can just kill the Tide Hollow Sculler anyway. So here comes the Lantern Scout. Grows Blade Master's 3/3 and lets it attack in. Obviously not blocking. It's got first strike. Go for the Digraph Colossus here. And there's Kabira Evangel. It's drawn off the top. So that's pretty awkward for me because it means the I'm taking 7 damage here. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, I guess pro black, so I trade off the Metallic Mimic for the Lantern Scout just to save some life. So Crypt Breaker. I think maybe I should have tapped them immediately. Draw a card in case I drew a zombie, or just drew anything that could be cast. Although this way, if the opponent doesn't draw an ally, that stops, leaving that blockers is good to stop the Kabira Evangel. I don't know. Ooh. Well, I just I accidentally skipped through a bunch of stuff there. But there was another Blade Master getting played, which allowed both of these to get in for a total of 7 damage. And I drew a Wayward Servant. So here I'm tapping the Crypt Breaker, draw a Fateful Push. I could play the Wayward Servant. But so the thing to think here is, A, I can't target the Kabira Evangel at the moment, so I have a Revolt, and anything I do target can get ally encampment back to hand. So I think I'll wait until... So I was fortunate in that there was no ally immediately to trigger Kabira Evangel and just allow 4 damage through. So at this point I target the big Blade Master just to force it to be bounced, and then just to shrink it essentially. And I think I double block the Evangel, go down to 2, but at least this means that there's no protection being given by the Evangel, but then Path to Exile takes out one of my blockers, so forget that. I think the opponent doesn't replay the Blade Master, yeah, for the potential to just to ensure that they can trigger Kabira Evangel next turn and get 3 for at least 2 to kill me. So it's a sort of Hail Mary situation. Draw a Gravecrawler, that's obviously not going to do anything. And I lose, game 1. So on to game 2, and I have the pleasure of actually having a 7 card hand I can keep. Pretty reasonable one. The Crypt Breaker, which is probably the most powerful card in the deck. And I go for the Crypt Breaker turn 1 in case I draw another 1-drop. Oh no, that really makes sense. So I could just play the Crypt Breaker on turn 2 and still activate it. Oh, I think I played the Crypt Breaker first in case I wanted to discard the Gravecrawler to it and then reanimate the Gravecrawler from, or recast the Gravecrawler from the graveyard. I think that makes sense. No 1-mana allies, which is alright by me. Just game for 1 and play the Wayward Servant, which immediately dies. No Blade Master on turn 2 is quite good for me as well. Right, I think I decided to go with, obviously there was a lot of choices here, I think I decided to go with the discard to Crypt Breaker and then replay the Gravecrawler. Just because of that tap from the opponent, I thought might mean they had another removal spell that they were considering using and then decided to wait until I did something. But then, turns out no. Or at least no removal spell they wanted to spend that. And here comes Kabira Evangel. Although not super impressive on its own. Play Metallic Mimic and then I Dark Salvation away the Kabira Evangel. Attack for 2. Leave everything else back just to draw a card with. I heard that drawing cards is pretty good thing to do. Celestia High Healer. It's just the drain anytime an ally enters. Draw a Dark Salvation, that's a pretty reasonable draw. I could just go for the Death Baron here though, and the Gravecrawler. Attack for 9. So I make a mistake here. Death Baron gets targeted and I failed to activate Crypt Breaker in response, so now I don't get to. Which is pretty sloppy on my part, but and undo Cleric, the game life equals the number of allies. So this is a decent amount of life gain here, but without a good kind of empowerment, like a Blade Master or the 1-mana one that grows. It's not that super effective against a superior board position. Draw another Lord. Another attack. It's obviously still holding back for the draw cards with. Now that I'm thinking about it, could I have won that turn? If I Dark Salvationed away the healer. No, that wouldn't quite be enough, I don't think. Block a 4/4 with the remaining Cleric and then so that'd be 9, and then that'd be 8 extra points of damage if I attack with everything. So it would put the opponent down to 1, but it would have also killed both creatures, so that might have been the better play. Oh no, they had ally encampment at last then, didn't they? So, I mean, it still remains true, but they would have been able to bounce whatever I targeted to save it. I don't know. I think either line's probably going to win. Suppose this way is slightly better against the board sweeper, although that's incredibly unlikely in an allies deck. Not impossible though. So yeah, opponent plays Captain's Claws, attaches it and attacks, which gains a decent amount of life, but allows me to eat the Calastria here with the Lord. And then opponent decides that they're done. Right, so we're on to game 3 of round 1. This is a hand with obviously only one land. It's got a couple of 1-drops, but 3 3-drops means I'd have to get pretty lucky off the top for this to be a good draw. And I mean, I'd need the one of the lands to be get me white to play Wayward Servant. I mean, most of the lands do, but there are a non-trivial number of swamps in there, so I think I'll mull this. This is better. Crypt Breaker again. It's good for recovering from mulligans, and Tide Hollow Sculler and Dark Salvation can be 2 for 1s. I put the Colossus back because it costs 3 mana, unlike everything else. So this time I decided to go with Gravecrawler first. I think that was because I was concerned about playing out the Crypt Breaker and having it die immediately. Yeah, that was it. I wanted to save the Crypt Breaker until after Tide Hollow Skull had checked for removal. So just an Omni Cleric, not the Blade Master, which is the tends to be the big problem. Just attack with Gravecrawler because almost a 0 chance of the opponent blocking it. And down comes the Tide Hollow Scholar. So it's another kind of weak hand from the opponent. Just another Undo Cleric and Eerie Interlude, and which flickers everything, or anything you want. And March of Team, which return any number of allies with up to 8 mana cost from the graveyard to the battlefield. Can be powerful cards, but you need a critical mass of allies before they get any good. And pair Undo Clerics is not the most threatening things in the world, so I'm pretty sure I'll just take the other Undo Cleric. Yeah. Just leaves the opponent with not a lot going on. And they just drew a Concealed Courtyard off the top. Right, just attack with the Gravecrawler because I intend to attack the Tide Hollow Scholar for Crypt Breaker. Metallic Mimic, Crypt Breaker. There's Flagstones from the opponent, but no allies. Draw a Death Baron and a Wayward Servant, it's all good. Play the Death Baron. Do I attack with everything? Yeah, I do. I just figure the opponent's got a kind of weak draw, so I just want to try and finish the game off as quickly as possible, but then Path to Exile slows me down quite a bit with that. Still getting for 8 damage. And the Lord, meaning that the opponent can't take out the Tide Hollow Scholar and get back on the Cleric or take out the Crypt Breaker and got off my ability to draw cards is good at least. So opponent draws another Flagstones and gets a basic with it. And they just Dark Salvation. Yeah, play the Wayward Servant first. Dark Salvation for 3. Take out the Cleric, which gets Eerie Interluted, but I still do get the... Since Dark Salvation targets the creature and the player, I still get the zombie token. Change the opponent down to 8, and then I have exactly 8 points of damage. I think the opponent must have conceded here. So there we go. Managed to take round 1, thanks in part to some kind of uninspiring draws from the opponent. Just not getting enough allies and not getting the most powerful ones. Alright, here we are for round 2 against Kuma. I'm on the play. Bit awkward, but I think I do have the 3/1 drops and a Crypt Breaker, which allow me to draw more cards to try and find my land, second land. So I think I'm going to take the risk and keep it. Go for Gravecrawler first, because it would be extremely awkward to have a Crypt Breaker get Fatal Pushed or something straight away. Okay, Knight of the Ebon Legion. Hey, I just draw a second land. Anyway, I guess I'll just still go for the Gravecrawler, Crypt Breaker and draw a card. Try and ensure I actually get to my third land. Earthquake. That's certainly annoying. I mean, I guess long term it's only really killing Crypt Breaker because the Gravecrawlers can come back, but still does set me back quite a way. So Diagraph Colossus. I could either go Diagraph Colossus or Tide Holoskuller and pre-play Gravecrawler. Diagraph Colossus obviously is better long term to get out early. So yeah, let's do that. I don't know if there's anything so terrifying. Well, nothing obviously so terrifying that would force me to put the want to put the Tide Holoskuller out first. And playing the Diagraph Colossus before bringing any Gravecrawlers back does make it a lot bigger. So I could trade Colossus for the Knight plus Kuma's entire turn. No, I don't think the Colossus is too good to do that though. Maybe some removals in hand. Let's just go for a Scholar. See what I'm fighting against. Another Earthquake. Discard a card, draw 2 cards. Well, that makes me think this is a Knight deck rather than a Vampire deck with whatever it is, Hakon or Hakon or whatever it is, however his name is. I guess I'll take the Thrill. This is a sorcery, because if I take the Earthquake and then play the other Tidehollow Scholar, you can just Thrill in response. I'll take the Thrill. Play the other Tidehollow Scholar. Strip out the Earthquake and hope that Kuma doesn't draw another Earthquake. Another Thrill, okay. Blood Crypt got discarded. A Lightning Axe took out the Colossus. Ditching another Blood Crypt, so I'm pretty sure it's just a swamp in hand. Alright, I'll play the Death Baron. I can just attack for 9. And play the Crypt Breaker and draw a card. So I don't think attacking for 12 will significantly change the clock, but if there's another Earthquake, say, I'll want the extra card drawn. Right, this is an alright hand as well. Go for the Gravecrawler. Attack for 2. Play out a Wayward Servant. Is this going to die? Yeah. Oh well, that's fine. More or less. And this pretty much confirms that it's the Hakon thing. Protection from red and from white. Okay. So I think Digraph Colossus, or I could Dark Salvation. I'm gonna go for the. So if I go for the Digraph Colossus, Dark Salvation, the Olivia, It's not
Or
likely to be a
Dark
lot
Salvation,
of
Fire Exing Crusader, and attack with Grave
infect stuff
Crawler.
in Kuma's deck, so there's no urgency to kill it. And obviously the advantages to getting the Colossus out early. Okay, Colossus just dies though. Alright, we'll just Tide Hollow Scholar into Crypt Breaker. Power of Thrills. Not the most thrilling hand. I think I will just do this now in case I draw a land. No. It's just like the Thrills getting cast. Yep. So lightning us, discarding blood crit, goes back to Thriller possibility. Didn't really appear like it, but that was the Thriller possibility being cast, discarding a Dragon Skull Summit. I guess I'll just go for the Death Baron. Again, just draw a card. Olivia. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield and you control, discard a card. You may discard a card if you do, put a 1/1 counter on that creature. It gains haste and end of turn and becomes a vampire. Ooh, Colossus. And another Colossus. So if I look at Dark Salvation the Olivia, or I could just Dark Salvation the Fire Exing Crusader and attack with Gravecrawler. Yeah, I mean I think I'll take out the Fire Exing Crusader. The Olivia's not that scary without a hack-on to go with it. Could also attack with the Crypt Breaker. I mean, it does have Death Touch. And I do have another one, so yeah, I'll just do that. Lightning Axe. That's discarding a hack on. Oh, I just forgot to activate the Crypt Breaker again. Did that last match as well. That's sloppy of me. Attacked for 7. That's fine to just take. Unfortunately, I've got no access to Revolt for the Fatal Push. So there's a Phyrexian Crusader and a couple of a Nameless Inversion that Kuma can cast from the graveyard. It's like the Phyrexian Crusader. Nothing to discard to give it haste, but not likely to be the infect that kills me if I do die this game. Okay, that gives me Revolt. So let's see, let's say I crack Marsh Flats, Fatal Push the hack on, that puts Kuma down to 6, presuming response on Nameless Inversion, just a zombie token maybe. I think maybe I just attack with the Colossus. Play another Colossus. So there goes the zombie. Do I just kill Hakon now? I think so. Puts him in a position of having to spend 3 mana to bring Hakon back to get access to the graveyard knights again. Discarded Knight of the Ebon Legion. Just brings back the knights. So I can get in for 4. Let's see what I draw. Another land. So if I attack with everything, Hakon blocks a 2/2. Chomp chomp. Put you down to 2. Then I run the risk of Olivia giving something haste to... giving things haste to kill me after it gets recast with hack on. I think I'll just attack the crawler and the 2 colossi. Because it's fine if the Gravecrawler dies, because that just lets me cast it again, which triggers the Digraph Colossi. So maybe you go eat the Gravecrawler with hack on. Yeah, I think that's a fine attack. Okay. Suppose this... I think this is fine. So we'll just go... make a zombie mimic. Just a grave crawler. I probably should have played a swamp actually, so that I could activate discard to create a zombie token without breaking the marsh flats. There we go, still win. Okay, on to round 3 and back to my live recordings coming out in the wrong resolution for mysterious reasons. So back to the replays. I'm on the play here. This is Dion Mag, and seems like an unacceptable hand. Crypt Breaker once again. So why did I go for Gravecrawler straight away? Because on reflection it kind of seems like maybe saving Gravecrawlers to discard to Crypt Breaker would be a reasonable idea, because that would guarantee I can get up to the 3 zombies necessary to start drawing cards. I don't know. I mean, it seems like maybe just going for the Inquisition first and saving the that decision whether to play the Gravecrawler until turn 2, and I got some more information would have made sense. So that might have just been a mistake on my part. Vampire of the Dire Moon pretty heavily indicates that it's vampires. Attack with a Gravecrawler to represent being able to replay it if it gets blocked before I actually play anything, obviously. I think I go Inquisition and Crypt Breaker. So what do we see? Gatekeeper, Vampire Nighthawk and a bunch of lands. Take the Vampire Nighthawk because Gatekeeper of Malekith is not very effective. When I got a Gravecrawler I can just sacrifice to it. So Leech-Ridden Swamp comes down. And I imagine I just Wayward Servant, and draw a card. You ain't even got to draw a card that I can play straight away. So yeah, Gatekeeper gets cast. Obviously, it's not really getting any better. So recast Gravecrawler. I think maybe I'd Dark Salvation away the Gatekeeper just to be able to attack in. Yeah, attack for 3 and hold the rest back to draw with. So that was Mortify on the Servant. Yeah, just faithful push away the Death Punch blocker, and again just getting for 4 and play out the Colossus. Which yet again gives me 3 zombies to draw a card with. There's Sorin, which is not very impressive without some kind of board to defend it with. Another Wayward Servant. I just think I'm going everything at player, yeah. Because 5, 6, 7. So if it blocks the 3/3, go down to 5, and then I can Wayward Servants, and then yeah. So depending on how he blocks, if he tries to trade off with something, it'll kill him because the Digraph Colossus will create zombies, which will trigger Wayward Servant on. I think he just does block the 3/3, which means he doesn't die. I think he puts him down to 1, is it? Yeah, since it's a on cast trigger, cast a zombie spell rather than when the creature comes into play, the Wayward Servant doesn't get triggered by its own, by the zombie it creates. But yeah, I chose not to play the Crypt Breaker just because it seemed like the only way I was going to lose from here was a board sweeper. So I wanted to hold the Crypt Breaker in hand, and then I'd be able to Crypt Breaker and recast both Gravecrawlers from it and draw a card some more. So but anyway, there was no board sweeper incoming, so on to game 2. So another pretty good, again, Crypt Breaker. I've been getting pretty lucky to get this in the opening hand repeatedly, but a reasonable Inquisition into the Tide Hollow Scully draw that can break up the opponent's hand. So that was Bloodthirsty Aerialist, which is whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on it, and the Orzhov Signet. So I took the Orzhov Signet because otherwise, if I took the Bloodthirsty Aerialist, then the opponent could just play the Signet on turn 2, and I wouldn't have it wouldn't necessarily have anything to hit with Tide Hollow Skull there. Just a Godless Shrine and nothing else from Dion Mag. So it looks like I'm casting a Dark Salvation because the Vampire of the Daimoon certainly can be kind of annoying. So obviously I don't want to trade the Tidehollow Scholar with it, and it lets me use all my mana and gives me a zombie, so next turn I can get some Crypt Breaker action going. So then on the Dark Realms, I think it's just trades off for my Scholar. But fortunately I do draw a 2-drop zombie, so I am still able to get my Crypt Breaker draw. And I think my thought there was I cracked the Polluted Delta, even though it used up it meant I didn't have a easy source of revolt, because I wanted 5 mana to just spend everything on Dark Salvation and kill the Nighthawk that way and get some more zombies. But then I was fortunate enough to draw Bloodstone Mire anyway, so I still do have access to revolt. Yeah, I'm not drawing quite a lot of lands there. I mean, I've drawn the same amount, but I've drawn a couple of extra cards with Crypt Breaker, so... I think if I Death Baron and Fatal Push and Death Baron, I think that might be lethal. This would be 4, 8, 11, 14, 17, yeah. So I do exactly that. That was a fairly smooth and clean win there. And here we are onto the final match versus Bandit Keith. This is a pretty reasonable opening hand. Lots of disruption and Crypt Breaker plus 2 other zombies once again. Plus some lands is also nice, so yeah, obviously keep this. And Gilfie Palace is the Alpha revealing land, so pretty confident I'm facing elves here. And Inquisition reveals a fairly lackluster hand from Keith, just the Dwynen's Elite, which obviously taken a bunch of lands, which it's not a great draw on his part, but doesn't mean my Tidehollow Scholars won't hit anything. And indeed. Yeah, just another land drawn, so... Play out the other Tidehollow Scholar. Just as a zombie grizzly bear, I guess. But there is a Collector Company this time, but unfortunately that is just cast in response. To Elvish Archdruid and Heritage Druid, which means Keith's got tons of mana now. Fortunately, nothing much really to spend it on. So at this point, since I've got tons of excess mana and not a lot to do with it, I just discard the Gravecrawler to the Crypt Breaker and cast it from the graveyard. And Keith draws an Elvish Mystic. So I'm kind of hoping to draw some kind of removal or a Lord or something so I can start attacking him before Keith draws something to capitalise on all this mana with. Fine, Metallic Mimic and a Lord of the Undead, which is certainly works for me. Swing for 12, and Keith just takes it all. And just another Elvish Mystic. And a pair of Colossi is also not bad. I think I decided to... I was just thinking about why I decided to cast the Colossi before combat. I think it was just because I was planning on attacking with the Metallic Mimic, so I wanted that extra +1/+1 counters. But maybe that doesn't actually make sense, because if things are going to get traded off, which is extremely likely, then the zombies in the graveyard will pump the Colossi anyway. So it probably would have been better to just hold the mana up and disguise what I had in hand. So yeah, the Colossi would have been what, 2, 3. So there would be 6/6 instead of 4/4s if I'd held off. Not that I really expect that to make the difference, but still sloppy execution on my part. And just Wayward Servant and cast a Gravecrawler. Keith down to 2. Alright. Oh, and then yeah, discarded a landscape zombie, but that wouldn't have actually put Keith down to 0. So that was probably just me wasting time. I should have just attacked. No Crypt Breaker this time, but another fine hand. To go for Inquisition to ensure I could take an Elvish Archdruid if it was in hand. Instead it's Nettle Sentinel, Dwanning's Elite and Elvish Champion and Azuri. I take the Azuri as the most potentially dangerous card, yeah. Keith goes for the Dwanning's Elite Nettle Sentinel play, which allows me to take the champion with the Tidal Scholar. And I make a pretty significant mistake here of grabbing a Plains instead of a Godless Shrine. So obviously I'm stacked on black requiring things, so I'll screw up my ability to cast multiple spells pretty badly, or just cast them at all in some cases. So I take the Elvish Champion, see Keith's got Shaman of the Pack. So that's hit me down to 9. So yeah, suffering from my choice to grab the Plains. But at this point Keith collected companies into 2 more Shamans of the Pack, so it really didn't matter. And to the last game of the day. Yeah, another reasonable hand. Some disruption and some 2-1s. Okay, so Inquisition there, found 2 Mystics, 2 Archdruids. So I took 1 Archdruid with the plan of Keith goes land Mystic, I play land Metallic Mimic, and he'll probably play the second Archdruid, and then I can Dark Salvation it for 3 for 3 mana. Yeah, and everything goes according to Keikaku. Down comes Elvish Champion, which is not quite as frightening as Elvish Archdruid. Oh, there's the Mystic. So just play the Death Baron. Just trying to think whether that was correct or not. Maybe I should have just played the Metallic Mimic first. Oh well, no, I suppose it doesn't. But this way I've got the 4/4 Death Touch, so I can pretty safely... No, I was going to say that I could makes it easier to attack in, but if Keith had double blocked with these two against the 3/3, then just kill the champion, and then this would fall down to the point that it would be a 1/1 and die as well. So yeah, maybe the Mimic would be better to play first. Of course, if I... Yeah, maybe not, because if I draw a 3-drop next turn, then I can play the Mimic on a 3-drop. Keith draws an Azori, which is pretty strong here. Keep drawing lands. So does Keith, and yeah, he's only got 6 mana at this point, so, and I have Death Touch creatures, so it require quite a lot. It would require a lot of mana to pump it up to be worth attacking with, and also want to hold up regenerate mana to stop things from trading off. Yeah, but we're both sort of flooding on lands here, but Keith got a much better outlet for it, or has an outlet for it, and I have none. So he attacks with 2 creatures. I choose not to block, which makes me take 10. Just a Metallic Mimic, not much to do with that. But play it. Forced to block here. Because he's threatening, again, 10 points of trample damage. I'm only on 7, so... I think I block both. This sort of forces him to... I think what he chooses to do is just regenerate them both, which means my Mimic dies, and you can hold up the overrun or the regeneration on defense. Plays a Nettle Sentinel. And then I just draw a Gravecrawler, which won't get me through, and just Keith's got enough creature. But how much would be attacking for next turn? 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, plus 15, so 27. I do not have 21 points of toughness, so I'm just dead.
Seeing how? Still pushing that boulder. Uh-huh.
So everyone's back in their graves and we're back with the deck. Overall, it went well. I think I got kind of lucky, a fair amount. I mean, other than the first game where I had to mulligan down to 5, I had solid draws the entire way through, lots of crit breakers, which is probably the most powerful card in the deck. My opponents had some pretty mediocre draws, like allies not really hitting that critical mass of allies to be effective, and opponents having a fair amount of draws where they only had a small number of non-land cards where I was able to effectively Inquisition and Tidal Scholar to destruct them. That being said, I was happy with the structure and design of the deck. I think the only issue I had was with my own play. Was the pretty imperfect. So there was a couple of times where I just clicked through when one of my creatures got killed, not tapping them in response to draw a card and losing the opportunity to do that. And then there was the fetching the wrong land in the last match, which was pretty sloppy. Yeah, I don't really think I've got anything else to say about the deck. I'm just happy with the way it works. It's pretty good. Alright, thank you very much for watching.